We are going apple picking, which is one of my favorite things to do. It's something that we do every single year, just like as a family tradition. So the good news is that for the most part, we do know what's happening now.
What I understand trad wife, like trad life existence.
Trad wife life.
Trad life. Trad wife life.
Is it ever weird being married to a YouTuber slash influencer?
Well, here's the thing about that.
I'm curious about your answer to this. Hello you guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm feeling like a 5-year-old little girl right now. These pigtails in, but I just got out of the shower like 40 minutes ago, and I find that my hair, unless I do something to kind of give it a little bit of structure with the curl, can just get like frizzy and fall flat. And I am air drying it today, so this is me just hoping to kind of give it a little bit of definition. I feel like I'm in the stage of postpartum right now with my hair that I just am tempted to do something drastic. So talk me out of this, but I feel like, I don't know, I'm just kind of bored with it right now. I don't know if I would chop it short, but I did just take like inches and inches off of it right after I had Rosie, and already it's just feeling like long and boring again, and I just need to be re-inspired. I don't know if I should do like a little bit more highlights. I don't know if I should actually just like go darker and remove the highlights and do like more of like a chocolatey color. I don't know. Tell me what you guys think. I'm just getting ready for the day now. It is a weekend, so Jared is home and we're just gonna have some low-key time as a family. So I actually have a second to do my skincare this morning, which is always a treat. I have been using Typology products on my face for over a year now, and they are so good. They are a vegan and cruelty-free skincare brand, and all of the products are made in France. And I didn't actually know this at first, but the regulations of ingredients that you can have in your products in France is like very, very strict. And so 80% of the ingredients that are in Typology's products are actually of natural origin, which is really cool. So they are formulated with only the essentials, and then all of the products are also made of recycled and recyclable materials, which I also love. I've told you guys a few times now about their skin diagnostic test that you can take on their website, which only takes a couple minutes, and then it will actually like prescribe you a fully customized skincare routine, which is the best thing ever. Also, my nails look terrifying right now, and I promise that's not dirt. It is blueberries from making my children's pancakes this morning. But I'm also trying a couple of newer products from them right now that I wanted to tell you guys about because I'm loving them so far. And one of them is their lash and brow serum, and this is an untinted eyelash and eyebrow serum that is actually meant to help you grow your lashes and your brows and just strengthen them overall. And because the ingredients in this one are 96% naturally derived, they are safe for anyone that is pregnant and breastfeeding and is wanting to just get a little bit of growth in the eyebrow and eyelash area. To be vulnerable with you guys, I have honestly never loved my eyebrows. I did fall victim to the over plucking era. I over plucked my eyebrows like crazy. So now they like barely grow into that zone there, and I've been really wanting recently to try and find something to help me with that growth, so I'm very excited to have this. On no makeup days, I've been loving this for that, but then also just like applying it before bed after I like wash my face and get ready for sleep. Next up is their resurfacing lip peel, which contains mandelic acid and pomegranate enzyme. This is meant to just eliminate all the dead skin, all of the nasty off the top of your lips, so that your lips are actually like smoother and buttery soft, and it kind of like tingles going on. I don't even know how to describe it. It's just like a very nice feeling. I live in Canada, so in the winter time it is freezing cold here, and I find that I'm just always like licking my lips and they're getting so dry and cracked and gross. So I'm excited to have this in my back pocket because it is also 96% naturally derived, and it just kind of leaves your lips smooth and soft and preps them for other lip products. And speaking of other lip products, this is one that I have been loving recently. It is Typology's lip oil, and I got this in the shade Powder Pink. This is super hydrating. It contains squalene, vitamin E, and I'm gonna try and pronounce this properly. Jojoba oil. Not only is it a really cute lip oil that gives you a very nice like shiny but not sticky finish, it also is skincare. So they have 5 different shades of this product, including untinted. I have really been loving the way that that one looks on top of the lip peel. So these 3 have definitely been on full rotation in my everyday routines recently, and if you guys want to check them out, I do have a link for them in the description box of this video. Typology also does have an offer for viewers of my channel that purchase through that link. So if you want to check out any of their products, do the skin diagnostic test, when you shop through the link in my description box, they will also offer you a free organic orange blossom hydrolate with a purchase on their website over $40. So I am super excited for you guys to check out their products, and thank you so much to Typology for working with me on today's video. All right, you guys, here is the reveal of whether or not adding in those little braids did anything to help with my hair today. All right, it added a little bit of a wave, but honestly, it's still so wet that I feel like the likelihood of my hair drying frizzy is still quite high. I am almost out of this stuff because I use it all the time, but this is the Day hairstyling cream. I do use it pretty well every day that I let my hair air dry. For makeup today, I'm not going to do anything too crazy just because we are going to be hanging out around the house for most of the day. I am so excited because earlier this morning, Jared actually went out and bought a trampoline for our kids. We have basically been watching online to just like see as the summer season ends, like if any trampolines were going to go on sale or not. And we kept seeing them drop and kept seeing them drop, but we were like, if we can wait, I bet we can get a crazy deal on one because it's still gonna be nice outside for a couple of weeks, if not like the next month or two, at least where we are. We got one that has a net around it, so it makes it a little less terrifying. I also feel like after seeing how our kids have just absolutely loved bounce houses every time we have ever had one here or have like gone to events with bounce houses, Jared and I have just always said like we need to invest in something that provides them this like way to move their bodies, because our kids are at an age and a stage right now where they just need so much movement in a day, especially our like little boy. So we ended up finding a 14-foot netted trampoline that was originally $600 new for $200, and we are going to try and get it set up in the backyard for the kids today. They don't know that it's coming, so we know that they're just gonna be so excited and literally have the best time today. And then the next couple of days are honestly just going to be chill. This is one of the first weekends in a while that Jared is not preaching on Sunday, so we are going to have a little bit more space in our weekend to just like spend time together, which is nice. Tomorrow we are going apple picking as a family, which is one of my favorite things to do. It's something that we do every single year, just like as a family tradition, and then we come home and like make an apple crisp together. So we're gonna do that this weekend. And I honestly feels like it was literally yesterday that we went to the apple orchard and took like our announcement photos for Rosie, because this was around the time last year that we found out, and then a couple weeks later announced everything. So I'm just like mind blown of how fast time is going. Every single child we have added to the mix has just made time go so much faster. So it's always nice when we have these slower weekends at home to just soak up that time. I did also want to give you guys just a quick update on how things are going with baby girl. The last time I updated you guys, it was still kind of like we didn't know for sure what was going on and what we were going to do to kind of move forward with all of that. So the good news is that for the most part, we do know what's happening now. We ended up having a bunch of appointments. We saw so many specialists for it all. We did confirm that she does have a pretty severe case of reflux and has been on a prescription for that now for a couple of weeks. And when I tell you guys that that has made the biggest difference in her temperament, it has just been like honestly night and day. It has been such a relief, but has also made me feel just so bad that she had been in so much pain for so long. And it was because of something that was not easily fixable, but could have been fixed probably a little bit sooner. It is what it is. Like there's no sense dwelling on what has happened. The good thing is that at this point, she's doing a lot better and is responding to that medication very well. The other things that we were able to confirm, because basically we found that it was like a laundry list of things that were causing her to be colicky, and those were the posterior tongue tie that in combination with the reflux were making it, I don't want to say impossible to breastfeed, because we were able to make it happen like hanging on by a thread for 4 months, but beyond that point have made it just like very, very hard for us to continue breastfeeding, and have actually like weaned off of since then. Connected to the posterior tongue tie was also all of the tension in her body. So we found out that she had had a pretty mild but still there case of torticollis, and she was leaning her head to the side and really having a hard time getting back to like a midline position. And then the other thing on top of all of that we determined was that there is a food allergy that everyone that we've talked to basically is like, we're almost positive that this exists. We just don't know for sure what she's allergic to yet. I immediately, when I started seeing her spit up and be in discomfort, cut cow's milk, but she was still having allergic reactions even with that being gone for an extended period of time. So we're not sure what she's allergic to yet. It'll be easier, I'm sure, to pinpoint that like around the time that we start solids. But for now, to sum basically where all of this has landed, she has fully weaned off of breastfeeding now. I am now combo feeding, so I am pumping breast milk, and my goal is to do that basically until like 6 months. So I'm no longer breastfeeding, which was sad to have lost that because she was starting to lose weight while I was breastfeeding. It also just like did not make sense to continue on that trajectory. I felt like I was making the choices around breastfeeding more for myself than honestly like for her betterment and for our whole family. So thought about it lots, and weaning has made the most sense for us. And since all of that has happened, again, she has just become so much happier as a baby. It's hard to think about like what has happened in the last 4 months and not like think about it as lost time. I know that it's not lost time, and I still was able to spend so much time just like present with her, obviously navigating through everything, but it did feel like a lot of the time I was kind of like wishing that time away. If any of you have had babies that have struggled with like colic or reflux, you probably know what I mean by that, where it's just like you love this little baby so much and you're just like constantly feeling that balance of like, I don't want you to grow up, but I also really don't want to be doing like this stuff anymore because it is so intense. I'm still wearing the carrier a lot, don't get me wrong, but I'm able to set her down a little bit more too. And basically, just all in all, I wanted to say thank you to everyone that had prayed for us or reached out and offered words of encouragement, even just to let us know like this will pass, because I don't think we're quite in the clear yet. But looking back from where we were and where we've come now, it has just been, again, night and day, and I'm feeling so much better as a person. I'm probably going to talk about it a little bit more at some point, just like what that experience was like for me, especially from like a mental health perspective, because there were times that it was just so hard. Yeah, I'm really grateful to have what I think is the bulk of it behind us. So thank you guys for praying. Baby girl is doing a lot better, and I am doing a lot better too. Buddy.
Oh, can we do this one first?
Yeah, of course.
No. No. I have to hold it.
this.
Yeah, you actually do. We have a special guest. This is my husband. I just like stopped filming videos with you in them mostly because we have so many children now, and usually when I'm filming, if Jared is also home, you're with our kids because I'm filming so that they're not like always around.
And also, I just got so many negative comments on the last few videos that we just decided it was better this way.
I wouldn't say that you got so many. There was some feedback about the ways that you supported me in my births in the past, but
People didn't like it.
I thought it would be fun because Jared hasn't been here in a while to do like a husband tell all, put you on the hot seat, ask you some questions. So over on Instagram, I did a little question box and had people send in a bunch of different questions to give you guys a little bit more of a behind the scenes look of who Jared is.
We just got all the kids to bed and we went apple picking today, so I'm making an apple crisp while we do this.
And you make these way better than I do. I said I feel like I don't know what to do with my hands, so I'm just gonna hang out here and watch. Someone asked, how are you doing?
How am I doing?
Yeah, how you doing?
It's a big question. I'm great. I've thought about that question a lot recently. Even in therapy, I was talking to my therapist and she asked me that and gave me a framework of like 4 quadrants that you can measure: physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. And I think in and amongst all of that, physically was probably the worst, in the sense that we just like we're always on with the kids and things are always moving so quickly that it's hard to find time for yourself. But mentally, and I feel like I'm in an okay place mentally. Emotionally, I'm doing all right. Spiritually, surprisingly good for how busy everything is. I think in this season we've needed to rely on God a lot more, and so that helps keep it at the forefront of your mind.
Someone asked, what does your husband do for work? So what do you do for work?
I'm a pastor at a church in the city that we live in, and it has 3 different locations. I've been on staff there full time for 6 years now, and it's a great community to be a part of, a great church, and we're very blessed to be where we are.
Someone said, balancing family and pastor duties is tough. How do you juggle it all with an odd work schedule?
It is. The reason that it's tough for anybody that might not have context to this is just because it's not like a 9 to 5 where you clock in and clock out. My whole job is working with people and helping people understand who Jesus is and that he loves them, that he has a purpose for their life, and that doesn't end like when you clock in at 9 and then when you go home at 5. People go through real things in their life, and like even just the last couple of weeks I've been in the hospital with a few friends that have been struggling, and you need to be present in people's lives. I think the idea of balance is like unachievable, because the reality is you're only in balance for these brief moments as your life shifts and changes. And so I heard it said once that you don't want to strive for balance, but you want to find what you're most passionate about and run really intensely after those things. And I think the Bible lays it out pretty clearly what the order of priority in our life should be. It's our relationship with God and our health. It's our relationship with one another, you and me specifically as a married couple. It's my kids, and then it's, you know, my hobbies, my work, all of these other things after that, and all of that's done in the context of Christian community. So I think the way that I balance it all, and by no means am I doing this perfectly, I'm still figuring a lot of this stuff out. We're figuring a lot of it out week in and week out. But the way to do it is just to be really passionate about the things that matter the most and make sure that you're not dropping those balls, and a lot of other things fall in line. And the reality is God takes care of a lot of the stuff that sometimes I feel is on my shoulders. So
You do a good job of it too. Like when you come home from work, even though you've been having heavy conversations a lot of the time during your day, like you'll be in meetings from 9 to 5, back to back to back, but like you still come on and like are so present with them, chasing them around the house. So they wouldn't necessarily feel that weight that you carry and like the maybe lack of energy that you have sometimes coming in. So I think that's special too.
yeah, practically there are some things that you just have to choose to do, and that's like you got to put as much effort at home as you do at work. And so when you come through the door, make sure if you're going to take a minute to breathe, you do it on the ride home and stuff like that, so that like you said, the kids don't feel it. But there are a lot of times that they would feel it. A text message comes in and we're sitting on the couch and you're overthinking something.
Do you want any more kids?
Not today. But I think in the long term, yeah, being a parent is one of the greatest joys, and we've had such a blast with the kids that we have, and I'm really, as they get older, it gets more and more engaging and fun and exciting. And so I think 3 is amazing, and I think you should have as many as makes your life feel full. And I think for us, probably
Feels full right now.
feels full today. But I think it's a season, right? You don't want to make lifelong decisions
They're just all so
in a
little
short
at the
season.
same time.
Yeah. So I think when the season passes, we'll reevaluate. But I expect we'll probably have one more, at least. I mean, I'm not having them, so if you want to.
There's a couple people that are wondering how you felt about me giving birth at home. Like if you felt nervous for it, and people saying that their husbands are more nervous about it than their wives are.
Yeah, man, I get that. I was not stoked about it. There were parts of it that I was really like grateful for and excited about from the first time around, but I think it's such an intense thing that happens, and as a guy, you have very little control over how it goes. I mean, you're not disconnected from it, but like I'm not doing it, and so I'm just watching it happen. And I think when you see somebody that you love as much as your spouse in that much pain and in such an intense environment, you want to be able to help or ensure that the best help is available. You were able to do enough research and demonstrate to me that you knew what you were talking about and you felt comfortable with it. Because I think when I did the research, if you're doing research, you're just researching with your bias, and you wanted to do it.
Yeah.
So you researched with your bias, and you were able to kind of lay out for me statistically the margins are pretty thin in comparison to the hospital and doing stuff at home, and so that gave me a level of comfort to go, I'm okay with that level of risk, because it was fairly small in comparison, and a lot of it like you can't control. Even if something were to happen at the hospital, like you can't control that. So I think after doing the research, you were able to bring me to a spot where I felt a little bit more comfortable, but still, like, I understand where husbands are like, I don't know about this.
Towards the end of my last pregnancy, I remember you saying multiple times, like, I'm so excited that we're not going to the hospital, and like I'm so glad that we don't have to go to the hospital.
I mean, it's just way more inconvenient. Like the fact that you gotta stay there for 24 hours, like it freaking sucks to be able to have the baby if everything goes well and be sleeping
like
in
if
your
it's
bed.
if the pregnancy is healthy enough. And
just know that's not everybody's experience.
Is it ever weird being married to a YouTuber / influencer?
Well, here's the thing about that.
I'm curious about your answer to this.
Is Beth is so normal that I often forget that you do this. Like, you don't carry yourself like a quote-unquote influencer or YouTuber, so it doesn't really impact our day-to-day life. I mean, it gets a little bit like it's not odd or anything, but the only time I feel it or see it is when you run into people like around town, or like when we're traveling or something like that watch your videos, and that feels kind of weird. It's like,
that feels,
oh my gosh,
equally as weird to you though as it does for me. Like anytime I meet anyone that says that, I'm like, people watch this. It's like I'm still living in a fantasy world.
But I think it's because you have that posture that makes it not affect our life that much, and I don't feel like I'm married to a YouTuber. Like I'm married to you, and this is a passion that you have, and it helps us. And I think also, being in ministry, a lot of our life is on display for people anyways, and so there's a level of that like we're used to. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on trad wives?
On trad wives? I don't know what all is encompassed. Do you know
what a trad wife is?
I do know what a trad wife is.
How would you define a trad wife?
Well, actually, I don't know if I fully know. I was just about to say, I don't know what all is encompassed in that term trad wife. When I think trad wife, I think making cheese and wearing long flowy dresses and, you know,
so not just making dinner, also making your cheese.
Yeah, specifically cheese and milk products. I think any trend or fad is kind of foolish. Like, I don't think you should be building your life around trends or fads. And so if you see the trad wife trend and you're like, I want to jump on this trend, that's like a real life shift for a trend. So don't do that. I like some of the values that are coming out of this, like reduction in like consumerism. I think is a great thing with what I understand trad wife, like trad life existence.
Trad wife life.
Trad wife life. I just don't know much about trad wives in general, so I don't think I want to make an argument for gender roles off of trad wife question.
I'm gonna Google what the actual definition of a trad wife is.
Yeah, can you Google what the definition is?
Trad wife definition.
I don't want to be making statements about things that I don't know about.
A trad wife refers to a married woman who embraces traditional gender roles, particularly focusing on homemaking and supporting her husband by raising the kids, cooking and keeping the house clean while he serves as the primary breadwinner.
Like, whose definition of traditional roles? You know what I mean? Society's or the Bible's? If we're going to build our life off of something, we build our life of what we see in Scripture. And what we see in Scripture is there are roles for men and women, but they're not necessarily the same roles that our society would build up. Like, the male is the provider and the female is this, or like all of that stuff. There's a partnership, there's a helping that happens and a serving of one another, and we talk about this often. And so if it's this like tradition based on culture, there's elements of that because the West is built on Judeo-Christian values that are good, because the OG culture had a lot of like good values in it, but it also had a lot of terrible values in it, like slavery and like like oppression of women and things like that. And so what I like is the roles laid out in Scripture, and I think there's elements of that you can see in this trad wife like trend, and there's elements that I think really miss the mark and downplay all that women can be in that. And so how do I feel about it? I feel like there's good parts of it, and I feel like it kind of is a little bit like reductionistic of all that like a woman is.
Right.
Does that make sense?
So you wouldn't consider me a trad wife?
No, you don't have enough dresses to be a trad wife.
I wear too
And
many
you've never made
jeans.
cheese.
Have you ever dealt with anger in like the newborn / baby stage? Especially because like this mom is specifically referring to the fact that like her husband can't nurse, so there's like not a lot that he can actually do with the baby. Like, have you ever dealt with that?
Well, I think I'm fairly emotional as a person, and so I feel emotions pretty intensely, like a lot of people would, and anger's for sure one of them. And I remember like with Vivian, when I was first, like your world gets rocked when you go from no kids to one kid, because you just realize how selfish you were and how selfless you have to become, and that's a painful process. And with Vivian, I remember rocking her for like 45 minutes because she would just cry and cry, and then giving her to you, because I was just like so like frustrated with just getting screamed at for 45 minutes while I tried to rock. And for sure I've been angry, and then we've got 3 now and they're all little, and today as we're driving home there's a chorus of crying in the back of the car.
Yeah,
and
that was wild.
it's just building and building and building, and you're driving and you're like, I'm gonna freak out on somebody. you're learning, how do I remain patient, how do I remain all these things, and sometimes I'm hitting it and a lot of times I'm not. That's where I think being able to apologize is really important, both to you and then also to the kids. And go, like I had to say to Jude today, buddy, I'm sorry that I yelled. You don't always have to be right, but you do have to be honest with your kids and with your spouse. What's
a trait that you hope that our kids get from me? And then they ask vice versa for you.
Oh, it's a really good question. I see a lot of you in Jude and Vivian in different ways. I think what I hope our kids get from you is your work ethic, because you're a really hard worker, and I think that takes you really far as a person. So I feel like I hope that they get your work ethic, and they get you just have like a natural ease about you in your life, that you don't seem like you really struggle super deeply with like a lot of really hard things. And which is like,
okay, you're actually a little bit surface level.
No, it's just like the things that I think plague people, you don't seem to be plagued by a lot of that stuff. Like, you're very practical, you have a great like positive perspective on life. I think it serves you really well, and I think it draws people to you, and I hope our kids carry that. Whereas I can be a little bit more like overthinking things. I think you just have an ease about you, and I hope that our kids carry that as well.
I think the thing that I would say I hope they get from you, your integrity, which is always the thing that I come back to with you. I think that there's just like a level of honesty and humility, but also just like commitment to doing the right thing, obeying God. And like, as soon as you feel like God asks you to do something, just doing it as soon as you can. Not our dishwasher, like being so loud. If we raise our kids and they can live with that type of mentality, I just want to live in a way that is like honoring God and doing that to the best of my ability, like as soon as I can. That's like, what more could a parent want?
Yeah.
So like, if our kids are able to get that from you and the way that you live, that would be like the best thing that could happen for them.
Well, that's a cool highlight and encouragement, because I got that from both of my parents, but my dad really lived his life that way. So it's like, I remember saying as a kid, if I could be half the man Dad is with those things, I would be happy.
Yeah.
So that's cool that that's the thing that you like and that you hope is passed down to our kids.
Who would play me in a movie about our lives?
Who's that girl I always say that you look like?
I do not look like that girl.
I thought you did when we were dating.
It was Rosie Huntington Whiteley, who I do not look like.
A lot of names. The one that you often
There's
get
one
is
that I
Jennifer Lawrence.
Yes, consistently I get Jennifer Lawrence in my comments, which is so funny to me because I don't actually even see that. Would you say that?
I don't see it that much either.
Yeah,
no.
I don't know what that is.
Different.
Jennifer Lawrence and Katherine Heigl are the ones that I hear often. If you could only eat one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Apple crisp and ice cream, but that would be a short life. Probably lasagna.
Okay, this is an interesting one. Someone is saying that their husband believes it is best that they work, like the wife, but she would rather work part-time or like not at all. What are your thoughts on that? Yeah.
I don't think that both parents or both spouses need to work. Like, if you're in a situation where, like, your husband...
Tell that to the economy.
Yeah, no kidding. But, well, it's becoming rarer and rarer, but, like, if you're in a situation where your husband's making, like, 200 grand, I don't think you just have to work because you have to work.
But what would you say when there's, like, a misalignment between, like, a husband and a wife where like the wife, because I remember there was a season where we kind of went through this.
Yeah.
Where it was like, I actually feel like I don't want to go back to my full-time job. Granted, I also had something else
but
that
you
I
were
was
still
doing.
working.
Yeah, I was still working, but like I did struggle in the sense that it was like, I don't want to work. Like I want my work to be like our kids. So how do people navigate that, in your opinion?
Well, not everybody gets to do that. Like, you don't get to do that.
Yeah.
I don't make enough money that you can stay home. Ministry has limitations. First, you have to provide for your family. And that's first the burden of the husband, and then it's the burden of the parents for the children. That's how I would view that working based on scripture. So, do I think everybody needs to work? No. Do I think everybody needs to meaningfully contribute to the society around them and the people around them? Yeah.
So then at that point it kind of becomes like you're saying, a conversation around like expectations for standard of living. If they can still like agree upon what they want that to look like for their family and achieve that agreed upon standard, like,
and you gotta weigh your priorities. If your priority is going to Cabo 6 times a year, then like sure, keep working. But if your priority is like creating space for you to raise the kids, like that was a big priority for us, is we actually wanted you to raise our children, so we worked hard to create margin for you to be with them. Right? So it just comes down to your priorities. The irony of like me talking about trad wives while making an apple crisp at our house is just, it's pretty funny.
Trad dad. All right, the last question. What is your number one piece of advice for other young dads?
Getting married, having children is all a process of becoming more and more selfless. I'll speak from my experience. The sooner that you can realize that and lean into that, the better. For me at least, like a really helpful thing to learn early is when to be intense and when to be like disciplinarian, and when to not hold certain opinions so tightly, and this is just true for anything, how to live with more nuance in your life. Like I think a lot of young guys are really like driven, intense, focused, but also like very like black and white thinking, very like this is right and this is wrong for sure, and nuance to hold things in tension. And I think when you can realize that with your wife, that's great, and when you can realize it with your kids, that's great, because sometimes it's like, I gotta be setting the boundaries here, and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you need to apologize to your kids, and sometimes you need to know when to turn it on and turn it off. The other thing is like, do what you know you should do. I heard this quote one time, is like, you gotta be found doing the things that you're supposed to be doing. That's not the quote, but that's the gist of the quote. Oftentimes when a dad messes up or a husband messes up, it's when you took that extra work trip, you went and played golf with the guys one more time, or you did the thing that you didn't need to do, but when you should have been home with the kids, or should have been home with your wife. A micro example of this is like, when I come home, I should be playing with my kids. They haven't seen me all day, so the spot that dad is supposed to be is on the floor rolling around, playing with your kids and bringing them joy and connecting with them. Oftentimes when I come home, the first thing I do is go to the bathroom for 45 minutes, close the door, and just like
you and I believe
myself.
Every other male in the world, I've discovered.
Well, it's just a quiet space. No one can get mad at you for going to the bathroom or doing anything else, laying on your bed, watching a show. Like, do the thing that you're supposed to do, because when you're doing the thing you're not supposed to do, that's often when you end up doing the thing you're really not supposed to do.
Right.
This is like
falling into sin.
Yeah, this is all over the Bible. A great example of this, and this was the example that I heard, was David. And like King David, he was the king of the nation of Israel, and all of his men were out at war, and instead of being out there with him where he should have been leading his people, he was at home, sent them all out. And when he was at home, it's when he saw Bathsheba on the roof and as another man's wife, and he ends up sleeping with her, and then he wants to stay with her, so he kills her husband. He sends him to the front of the battle. All this stuff happens because he wasn't where he was supposed to be.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be with his men, and he wasn't, so he did something that was like, it's like that idle hands of the devil's workshop, right? So that's the thing. It's just like, be where you, there's a real quote for you, but be where you're supposed to be. When you get home, go play with your kids.
Well, thanks for being here. It's nice to have your thoughts and your opinions, because you have so many good thoughts and opinions, and
Thank you.
it's good to be able to give a platform for some of that.
Who doesn't like to be asked what your opinion is on something? And I think what you're doing is amazing, and I think you're great, and I think more people need to hear what you have to say, because you have, like I said, an ease about you. I'm just glad I'm able to contribute where I can contribute, because I also just like can't not be myself. You know?
Well, let me know if you guys liked Jared being, I was gonna say on the podcast.
On the pod.
I got a lot more questions than we actually went through today, so we'll have to have you back sometime.
Bye.
Hello from the editing version of me that is working on this vlog and realized that I did not properly end this video at any point in time. I feel like I probably should have just ended it there while Jared and I were together, but I just didn't think to do that. So this is me formally ending the vlog here. Thank you guys so much for watching and for being here. I'm like vlog style filming this on my massive camera right now because for anyone that missed it, I broke my vlog camera a couple weeks ago. I just heard back from the people that I had sent it to for repairs that it's going to be like hundreds and hundreds of dollars to repair it. So at this point, I just need to get like a new, smaller vlog camera. If you guys know of any that you personally use or know that other people use that you really like, let me know because I'm on the hunt for one of those again now, unfortunately. But that is besides the point. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I also wanted to remind you that if you're interested in checking out any of Typology's products, that I do have a link with them. If you head to the link in the description box of this video and shop through it, any purchases over $40 USD will get that organic orange blossom hydrolate for free. So thank you to Typology for working with me on this video. And until my next video, I love you guys, I'm praying for you guys, and I will see you soon.